Hi, it's Phil here from Revive My Ride, and in this video I'm going to show you how to do the engine oil and filter change on a BMW N55 engine. And that will include all of the parts and materials that you need, part numbers for them, and all of the tools that you'll need. The actual car that will be featured in this video is the BMW F21 series M135i. But the N55 engine can actually be found in a lot of other BMWs as well, and that includes the F22 2 series car called the M235i, and of course the F33 series as well, which is called the M335i. So I only need the car just a little bit higher so I can get to the sump plug, so I just drove it up onto these blocks. And then here you can see I'm just put the jack under, and that's just as an extra little safety precaution. And then although I'm on a level surface, I put the handbrake on and I left the car in gear. I've got a manual car, but if you have an auto, then of course put it into park. Okay, so getting under the car now, at the very back of the engine under tray, it's actually further back than the wheels, there's a little hatch that you can open, and that gives access to the oil pan drain plug. And so I just reach under with a little stubby screwdriver and undo that, and once you've turned it that way, then you can usually just pop this little cover open. And then just inside there, that's your drain plug. So I'm just going to get a container under here and loosen that off and get this oil drained down. Should be about 6.5 litres if it hasn't burnt too much. So this sump plug takes a 17mm socket. Just going to break that free and get this started draining down. There we go. While that oil's draining underneath, up here on top of the engine, this here is your housing for your oil filter. So I've just got a cloth that I'm going to keep handy, just in case we get a little bit of a leak or a few drips coming off of the old filter cartridge. And what I've got here are some oil filter pliers, and I suppose this was designed for the traditional metal oil filters, but it's perfect for doing these caps. This one's made by Hilker, it's quite a good bit of kit. And I'm just going to grab hold of this. That was on much tighter than the required 25 Newton meters. Up on top of this cap here, it tells you the torque setting. This cap shouldn't have been on that tight. But anyway, like I said, the pliers have got the job done. And this will make the oil underneath start running faster now, because now air will be getting into the system. You can see this is the old filter cartridge. I'm just letting it drain a little bit. That'll drain out the bottom anyway, with the sump plug being out. And now we can take this to the bench. Okay, so let's have a look at all of the parts and materials that I've got in for this BMW N55 oil and filter change. So here I've got a MAL oil filter, and along with Hengst and MAN, these guys are the OEM suppliers to BMW. Next up I got a sump plug crush washer, so I got that from Febby Bilstein. And then finally that brings us to the oil. Now this oil meets BMW spec LL04, and any oil that meets that spec and it's by a well-known brand will do a really good job for you. And just to finish by saying that the BMW spec is actually 5W30, but a lot of owners on the forums find that the 5W40 works really well and it doesn't burn as readily because these engines are prone to burning a little bit of oil. Okay, so just working on the bench here, this cartridge just pulls out. It can take a bit of persuading, as you saw just then, but it does just come out like that. Now we've got our new filter element here. So that's the filter itself. And then it comes with 2 O-rings in the packet. So if I just get that opened up, just a small O-ring here, and then a larger one too. Okay, so the small O-ring that we got in our filter set goes here, and so I tend to use like a little pick, and what you don't want to do is damage the plastic at all. So if by using a pick you can just kind of just get under the edge of that O-ring just a little bit and pull it out of there, and then we can just go ahead and pop on our new O-ring. So now we can move on to the larger O-ring, so you can see it just here on the housing. And this is a bit of a similar job, so I don't want to damage the plastic under the O-ring. So I'm just going to be careful to just drive this pick into the O-ring a little bit so that then I can lever it out. And now what I've got is just some brake cleaner, and I'm going to clean up those threads because the BMW service manual says those threads should be clean, and you should use the brake cleaner before you put the new O-ring on, because the brake cleaner is not good for the O-ring. So I'm going to put that well out of the way. Don't have to worry about the little one at the top because I won't be spraying near that. And I'm just going to spray and clean these threads and then just give them a wipe down. So I'm just going to put a little bit of oil onto this O-ring. So I've just got the fresh oil container open there, and I'm just going to, it only has to be a little bit. And now we can go ahead and pop this O-ring onto the housing back where the old one was. And just make sure it's located into this recess correctly all the way around. Okay, so we're ready to put our new filter cartridge in. We've got all our O-rings in place, so it just pushes on from this top. And then just push it firmly and you'll feel it go fully home. And now we can just go ahead and pop that back in the housing again, so it just screws in. So there is like a special socket you can get for these, and then of course if you have a socket on you can use a torque wrench, but I don't have one of those, so I'm just going to use the same wrench I undid it with, and I'll just be mindful that the torque is only 25 Newton meters, so this doesn't have to be super tight. Okay, so that's just snug now, so that's tight enough, and of course I'll come and check this later once I'm running the engine. So I've just got my new sump plug washer here. Now I'm just going to take off this old one, give it a little wipe, and then pop the new one on. I'm just going to pop that back in there. Okay, and I'm just going to give that a little wipe up. There we go. Now we're ready to torque that. Okay, and now I've just got my torque wrench set to 25 Newton meters. There we go. And now we're finished under here, so we can go ahead and close up that hatch. And then just spin this around. There we go, to hold that up. Okay, so now we need to put 6.5 litres of new clean engine oil in. So this is 4 litres here, and I just have a funnel to avoid making any mess. And I'm just going to get all of this poured in. And just coming in with another 2.5 litres from this bottle. It has like a little measuring thing down here, so when I get to 1.5 I know that I've done enough. You don't really have a dipstick on these cars like you used to have in the old days. There's like an electronic way of reading your oil level. So what you're best doing is just going to the full 6.5 litres, assuming it's correct, but then doing a double check on the electronic system once we've got this all in. Okay, so that's about got it, 1.5 litres left, and this will come in handy for topping up because like I say, these engines do use a little bit of oil, so we'll take that away. Okay, so with the oil change done on this N55 engine, let's jump into the car and we'll do a quick oil check. So the BMW electronic oil level check is done when the engine's warm, so sometimes you do have to run it for 3 or 4 minutes or go for a short drive. So I'm going to run the car now and then we'll have a look at it. And so this oil level check's going to be for cars with iDrive, and I'm sure you're all familiar with this controller, and you just twist it and then that makes things move on the screen. So what we're going to do is go ahead and go down to vehicle information and press OK. And now vehicle status, which it's already highlighted, so I'll press OK. And you can see here it's saying oil level measurement only when stationary and engine on. So maybe I shouldn't have stopped the car, so let's get that started back up. Alright, so it's saying oil level check OK. So we just say OK now. And as long as you meet all of those requirements, then you can go ahead and click OK again to start the measurement. And as long as the engine's running and it's up to temperature, it'll start to measure your oil level for you. And this can take several minutes, so I'm just going to speed the process along a little bit for you guys. Okay, and that's what we've been waiting for, that little bar on the right hand side. And as you can see, it's showing it's at the max, which is what we expected because we put 6.5 litres of oil in, but it's nice to get the confirmation. So we can go ahead and press the back button and exit back out of that now. So while we're in the car, we might as well do the oil reset. So very quickly, here's how to do the BMW F20, F22 and F30 oil reset. Okay, so starting from the ignition off position, what you need to do is just push the start button once, but without your foot on the clutch or brake, so the engine doesn't start. And that should make all your dashboard light up. And you just have to wait for all of these other things that are on the screen to go off. And I have a top-up coolant warning, but it's just a sensor problem I need to fix. So it's a little bit hard to see, but there's a little black button down here. This is like your service reset button. And when you're on this screen here where it's showing temperature and range and things like that, so I just pressed it once then to clear the messages, but now I'm going to press and hold it for 4 or 5 seconds. So this is showing what resets are possible. The first one's brake fluid, but to toggle through them, you keep pressing the service button here just once. So you can see it's engine oil, resets possible. Vehicle check, reset not possible. Rear brake pads, front brake pads. So let's scroll back to the one that we want, which we know is the engine oil reset. So now press and hold this left-hand button again, and it'll say perform reset. So now press and hold it one more time, and your reset is in progress. So there we go. That's the BMW oil reset completed. So that's it. That's how you do the oil and filter change on the BMW N55 engine. I hope you liked the video, and if you did, then please give me a thumbs up. And I've got lots more content coming out featuring this car with this engine. So if you want to see more, then please consider subscribing, and maybe I'll see you in the next video. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye for now.